I actually think, yes, I think Chelsea did all the groundwork and said we agreed personal terms and all this stuff, which apparently turned out to be false, right? But I actually think that Chelsea actually walked away from this deal. And it's not about Crystal Palace. It's about him not wanting to get paid like the other guys, like the Nkunkus, the Palmer. He wants to be the highest paid. If I'm wrong, find me a report so when it said that that's not true.
Okay, Mo, so this is what I would say. There is the possibility that Chelsea have said we're not going to pay you what you want. You can interpret that as either rejecting each other. You could take that as they've obviously offered Olise something and he said no to their offer. I want this. Yep. Then Chelsea have said no. Depending on which way you look at it, they're both kind of rejected each other in that regard. But I think the real talking point here is if Chelsea are not willing to offer 180 grand a week to a player of Olise's quality, how do we as a panel think they're going to progress as a football club? Because at some point you've got to break that barrier. When's it going to be? They're going into their third season in this rebuild and they're refusing to pay top quality players. I wouldn't even call 180 grand a week as a base astronomical. So as a genuine question, how can they look to sign the very best talent available in the world to them if they're not prepared to pay the going rate?
What about Caicedo?
Here's the thing, Mo. Let me just say this as well.
Mo and Palmer then.
Mo, he's not the highest. He will not be the highest paid player there.
That's what the reports are saying. Unless
I don't know. No, he will not. No, I'm just saying. I'm just letting you. Raheem Sterling is on 325. They have players like let me see. Let me even pull it up because I know Raheem Sterling.
Only one is Raheem Sterling, to be honest. Which is they want to get rid of
James. Reece James is on. Listen, Reece James is on 250. Ben Chilwell is on 200. Wesley Fofana is on 200. David Fofana is on 200. Christopher Nkunku is on 195. Endo Fernandez is on 180. And Marco Corella is on 175. So for a range between Marco Corella and Enzo Fernandez, there's like 4, 5, 6 players who are earning more than him. So Chelsea cannot tell me that it is the look. I praise them for holding their ground and making sure their finances are on point and doing what they need to do to make the club sustainable in the long term. But they were waxing lyrical about how Michael Olise is the missing piece in their attack and how we've all talked about how good this player is. And now we hear that Bayern is offering him 180 to 230, probably 180 being the base pay. You know, every other thing probably be based on bonuses, goals scored or whatever it is. If Bayern is willing to match at 180, it means that he could have gone to Chelsea at 180. If Bayern is offering 180 and he's going to go to Bayern at 180, and of course, Chelsea is already paying other people more than they're paying him. So he wasn't asking for 400. He wasn't asking for 500. I think Chelsea wanted to beat the press and come out and say, well, yeah, we walked away from the deal because of money. Because now we're looking at the money issue and realizing that what he's going to earn at Bayern, they're paying already. Chelsea's already paying that. So what were they willing to offer him? Were they willing to offer him 100,000 a week? He's not Eddie Nketiah. I mean, like, I'll diss my own player on his behalf. He's not Eddie Nketiah. So what are we talking about here? Chelsea did not, they did not turn him down for 180. I don't believe that story. I think they just came out and said that. The truth is, the kid probably looked at his career, and that's what most players are doing now. Look at the opening of this window. Majority of the players that people want, Benjamin Sesko, for example, signed a new contract, stayed back at Leipzig. Why? Because he felt that's what's best for his career. This kid has probably spoken to people around him, and they've told him, you know what's best for your career? Go to a club right now where, of course, they're doing the rebuild, but they're giants, and you are going to win something. Go there, same wages. Because I don't see how Chelsea can't afford 180.
That's a fair argument.
That story for me doesn't cut it. Chelsea press PR just came out and said that just so they can make everybody, they got rejected by the board.
How come they said they agreed and everything, and Ornstein and Fabrizio said Chelsea are leading the race and all this stuff? I just don't get it. What happened there? Can someone explain it to me?
I personally think
maybe you're right, Di. Maybe you presented a very good argument. I'm gonna raise my hand and say you presented a very good argument. And maybe that's the truth. He looked at the offers. When Chelsea agreed with him before Giuseppe comes in, there was no other club that actually serious about him. And now maybe he's seen serious clubs like Bayern. He's like, no, I'm not going to join a project under Enzo Maresca. I'm going to join Bayern Munich. People just have to imagine that this guy pledges allegiance to France, not to England. So him leaving the Premier League, I think he doesn't care as much.
I understand that. Giuseppe, what's your take on it? Because it is easy to pile on Chelsea, and a lot of their fans in the comment, are defending their club. How do you see this situation?
Yeah, no, to be honest, I think Chelsea are trying to save face and say they walked away from the deal, because there's a few things, like Mo said, that they're trying to get rid of Sterling. So they're trying to free up 300 and something wages, and they don't want to spend 180 on someone that's probably double as good as Sterling is right now. Like he's much better a player than Sterling now. They've also offered people 8-year contracts. So all of a sudden now they're worrying about all these wages. Maybe there is part of that to be true, but I don't think so. I think that he originally agreed terms with Chelsea. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. But just because you agree terms with one team doesn't mean you've said 100% I'm going to you. I've agreed with your terms. Let me think about it and let me see what other offers I get. And I just think Bayern have come in with just as good an offer, and he's been sold the dream to go Bayern and be a player at Bayern that gets a lot of game time. And I'm sorry, if you're any sane footballer right now, you are choosing Bayern Munich over Chelsea. It's as simple as that. And now you've got the Chelsea fans trying to defend it, for going from twerking for the player to now saying that the player isn't that good and Palmer's better and this and that. But I just think Chelsea are trying to save face because they feel like they've been done over. And they don't want to look like that club, because they're normally the club that do other people over. And we, as an Arsenal fan, we've dealt with Chelsea a lot. Money has never been a thing that if Chelsea really want a player, Chelsea get that player if that player is willing to go to them. I think that, and for 180 million, if they'd come out and said he wanted near on 300k a week, I could say, you know what, maybe Chelsea did walk away. But for 180,000 a week, they're not getting no one on the level of Olise in this transfer window for less than 180k a week, in my opinion. They're not, even if they get Nico Williams, they're going to be paying him near enough the same wages.
Yeah. I agree with that. I mean, this is the interesting thing for me. We're going to go to Winter Surfer in a minute as a Chelsea fan to get his reaction. Gav here, who's a Chelsea fan, says 2 months ago, we were talking about Chelsea having to drastically reduce their wages. And this is, I suppose, where I get a bit frustrated. When it comes to the rejection thing, everyone, I know Chelsea fans won't like me saying I think they've been rejected, but I also say the same thing about Man United in this case. We said we walked away from Darwin Núñez. We didn't. We wanted him. He wanted us. Liverpool came in. He picked Liverpool. We said we walked away. We didn't. We got rejected. I have the same energy for my club, because being rejected in a transfer deal doesn't make me feel... It makes me feel good when they pick us, but I don't feel any less love or passion for my club because we get rejected. It's quite normal. But it's a conversation about money. I'm now seeing the same Chelsea fans online, not you, Gav, who have attacked me for stating Chelsea have got some financial issues. Now saying, Terry, we have to do this because we've got financial issues. And that's the element that frustrates me. When I speak about these things, I'm not trying to fearmonger or scaremonger people. It's just having an honest conversation about the situation at a football club. And whether people like hearing this or not, thank you, Gav, for that super chat. What's going on off the pitch at your club impacts performance on the field of play. The teams that are performing at the highest level consistently, you look at their football clubs, and typically speaking, it's fairly harmonious. The conversation is good. There's very little scandal. There's very little leaks. There are very little financial issues. There are very little problems. What bucks the trend is Man City with their legal situation as it be. They're the only one that kind of bucks the trend on that. Barcelona, look how great they were for a 10, 15-year period. The club internally hit real issues. They fell off from their standards. Man United's a prime example, etc. So that, for me, is a conversation I think Chelsea fans need to have. And Blaze here says, Dio will pay the higher salaries when we get the Champions League. Now we can't. The question here, Blaze, for you... One second, mate. I want to throw the question to you. I just want to respond to the viewer first. Do you think you can get back into the Champions League without buying the quality of Olise's and co? Do you genuinely believe the Mihailo Mudryks, the Durans and the Samus that you're linked to are going to be good enough to get you back into the Champions League so you can then go and buy Olise, you can then go and buy Nico Williams? That there becomes the question, because there's a little bit here of chicken and egg. There's a little bit here of having to, speculate to accumulate. And I would be concerned. I wouldn't say panic. I'm not saying burn up Stamford Bridge down. I'm stating that would worry me, because I don't think you're near the top four yet in overarching quality